been anchored in the Lord. It says, billows may roll, but my soul, my soul, my soul, my soul, my soul is anchored. Yes, it's anchored in the Lord.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Yes, Lord.
First, give it honor to God.
Yes, Lord.
Head of my life. Pastor Allen in his absence. Thank you again, Leeds Crossroads, for allowing me to stand in you guys' pulpit once again.
Amen. Amen.
Realizing that it ain't no goodness of my own.
Amen.
But it's only the goodness of the Lord that allows me to be able to stand and proclaim that Jesus is real.
Yes, He is.
I know that He's real.
Yes, Lord.
I can feel Him in my hands.
Yes.
I can feel Him in my feet.
Yes.
I can feel Him all over me. Jesus is real. For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ. I might be ashamed of some of the things I've done in my life.
All right now.
I might be ashamed of some of the people I hung out with.
All right now.
I might be even ashamed of some of the places I've been. But I am not ashamed of the gospel
All right.
of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
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 I won't be long this morning. But I had this song on my heart, so I'm going to have to go ahead and just sing this song. I'm pressing on the upper way. New heights I'm gaining, Lord, every day. Still praying on. I'm over back my feet on high. Your cry, Lord, lift me up. And let me stand. My faith on heaven. Oh, a table higher place. Oh, that I have done. Oh, Lord, let my feet on high. You cry. Lord, lift me up. Lord, lift me up. And let me stand. I'm big on heaven. Oh, table land. Oh, higher place. Oh, that I have found. Oh, why don't you plant my feet on high? Lord, lift me up. Lord, lift me up. And let me stand. Let me stand. I'm faith on heaven. Ooh, table land. And then we're going to skip down to verse number 31. What shall we then say unto these things? If God be for us, who can be against us?
All right.
Let me read that one more time. What shall we then say to these things? If God be for us, who can be against us? I'd like to use for a topic just for a few moments this morning. Don't forget the promises. Don't forget the promises. Amen. You may be seated. Oftentimes in our lives we are faced with obstacles and roadblocks.
Yes.
Stuff that the enemy places in our lives in an effort to persuade us to lose our faith and to give up the fight.
Yes. Yes.
You see, at some point, we all go through something
Yes, Lord.
that we would rather not deal with.
Yes. Yes.
Whether it's physical or mental problems or financial problems or just regular old family problems.
Amen.
We all go through something.
Yes, Lord. Amen.
You see, these spiritual conflicts are common to all because they are battles between the flesh and the spirit.
Yes.
I would be willing to say that sometimes these battles have a way of making us feel as if there's no hope.
That's right. Amen.
I would be willing to say that these battles may be overwhelming and difficult to deal with day in and day out.
Yes. Yes.
I would be willing to say that at times in our lives we may think that our life is spinning out of control.
All right. All right.
We may even get to the point that we may begin to think to ourselves, has God forgotten me?
All right. Come on. Come on.
So it is here in the book of Romans that we find the Apostle Paul writing to the church in Rome. It was to prepare the believers living in Rome for his visit to their city.
Yes. Yes.
His purpose was to strengthen them in their faith and to win their financial support.
Yes.
However, Paul fears that the tensions between the Jewish and the Gentile Christians in Rome may have reached such proportions that the Jewish Christians will refuse his offering, all because it came from the Gentile Christians.
Go ahead,
sir.
Paul also knew that enough about the churches in Rome to warn the Gentile Christians against boasting and acting like they were superior to the Jewish Christians and against despising them for their rituals and their observances. So they wasn't the same Christians.
Okay.
Amen. Amen. Let's get that disclosure out there first. Paul's warning signals the fear of a full-scale war between the Jewish and the Gentile Christians. So he presented in Rome what he would present in Jerusalem, the gospel of justification by faith for Jews and Gentiles alike as the basis of Christian unity.
Amen.
Amen.
That's right. Amen.
So it is here in the book of Romans, around the 8th chapter, that we find a statement of confidence and triumph, a proclamation that God is on our side. It's a promise that raises the hopes of all troubled people. It's a proclamation that nothing will separate us from the love of God. It's a guarantee that God has a plan for each of his people and he's able to see it through.
Yes, he is.
Amen.
Yes, he is. Amen.
So imagine just for a moment trying to put together a puzzle without ever seeing the picture on the box.
All right.
I would think that it would be almost impossible. You might be able to put some of the pieces together. You might even be able to put some of the sections together. However, you would spend most of your time trying to figure out where does this piece go and where does that piece go and how does it fit into the puzzle. The same thing is true in life. Some parts of our lives don't make sense when you look at them by themselves. We sometimes wonder, where do my disappointments fit in? Where do my failures fit in? And how does my losses fit in?
Right.
You see, as people, we always want to see the big picture.
Yes.
Somehow that assures us that all of our experiences have a purpose.
All right.
But God does not always give us a complete view of our lives.
Amen. That's right.
But he does gives us a promise that every experience will be used for some good.
Amen.
It's a promise that brings assurance to all true believers.
Amen.
Because it's the uncertainty of the unbeliever who doesn't know who he or she is. It's the unbeliever who doesn't know about God and the resurrection of the power.
That's right.
It's the unbeliever who doesn't believe where he's going to spend eternal life.
Amen.
But God wants to replace our uncertainty with faith.
Yes. Yes.
You know, as for us who believe that God is bigger than our problems, as for us who believe that God can change our situation without changing our condition, we can hold fast to the fact that God is not a man that he should lie.
Right.
And if he made a promise to you, he's able to keep it.
Yes, he is.
Therefore, we can proclaim, and we know that God is able to keep us in a time of a storm. And we can proclaim, and we know that God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. And we know that his Son Jesus went to the cross, shed his blood, got up on the third day with all power in his hand. But it don't stop there. We also know that God is a keeper. We also know that God is a healer. We also know that God is a deliverer. We also know that God is a provider. We also know that God can do exceedingly and abundantly above all we can ask for in Christ Jesus. So wherever you may be going through this morning, I came to let you know that my God The lily of the valley. My God, the bright and morning star. He's able to pick you up and make it all work for your good. So now is not the time to quit. So now is not the time to throw in the towel, because it's your faith that will trade your uncertainty for assurance. Someone once wrote, blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. He said, oh, what a foretaste of glory divine. Then somebody else picked it up and started writing it. They said, as long as I got King Jesus, I don't need nobody else. Therefore, we have an assurance that all things work together for our good. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that some things that we go through is not harder than other things to bear. We may experience things in our lives that might shake our very faith in God, make us wonder, why am I doing all this? We might experience things that we don't understand, things that keep us from moving forward. But God is able to bring good out of those difficult situations. God is able to open up some doors that need to be opened. He's able to close some doors that need to be closed. God is not a novice at this thing. This is not his first situation. Your problem is not his first situation that you have to deal with. This is not his first rodeo. You see, our God has a track record of keeping his promises to his people. You ask me how I know, I say ask Moses. Moses was a fugitive who became a deliverer. Now that's a promise kept. You ask me how I know, I say Joseph's brothers sold him into slavery. And he said, you meant it for evil, but God turned it around and used it to save much alive. Let me hear you say that's another promise kept. Daniel was thrown into the lion's den. And they said they shut the mouth of the lion. Now look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, that's another promise kept. They said that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego was thrown in the fiery furnace. And it came out as if nothing had happened. That's another promise kept. Paul and Silas was thrown into jail, and they said that God sent them there so their faith can save many. Now that's another promise kept. So this can only mean one thing. Without a shadow of a doubt, that we can have confidence that all things work together. Our ups, our downs, our headaches, our pains, they all work together. So when you find yourself in a dark place, when you feel as if you're about to lose your mind, up in here, when you feel like giving up, all you have to do is encourage yourself and say, I know whatever I'm going through is working for my good. It may not look like it, it may not feel like it, but I know I have a promise that God is working on my behalf. And I know it's working for my good. God said it, I believe it, therefore it's settled. I can't give up. I won't lay down and die. I won't give up the fight. Trouble in my way, I got to cry sometimes. I lay awake at night, but that's all right. Because I know Jesus will fix it after a while. So I'm just holding on. I'm holding on. I'm holding on. And I won't let go of my faith. I said I won't let go of my faith. The gentleman sung this morning. They said, though the storms keep on raging in my life, then it's hard for me to see the night from day. He said, though the hope that lies within is reassured as I keep my eyes upon the distant shore. But then the part he sung that moved my spirit. He said, but if the storm don't cease, he said, and if the winds keep on blowing in my life, he said, my soul has been anchored in the Lord. He said, my soul has been anchored in the Lord. So I tell you today, you got to be sure. Be very sure. Your anchor holds and grips the solid rock. That solid rock is Jesus. Because when it comes down to it, when it's all said and done, the Bible still declares, it says, moreover whom he did predestinate, them he also called. And to whom he called, them he also justified. To whom he justified, them he also glorified. So what shall we say to these things? If God be for us, who can be against us? If God be for us, who can be against us? So I Keep on believing. Keep on fasting. Keep on walking with God. And don't forget the promise. Whatever you do, don't forget the promise. And I told you I wasn't going to be long. So I just want to leave you with this. Something that you can hold on to at the end of the day. Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall temptation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or pearl sword? Because as it is written, for thy sake we are all killed all day long. We are counted as sheep for the slaughter. But nay, let me hear you say nay. Let me hear you say nay. In all these things, we are more than conquerors through Christ that loved us. For I am persuaded. Anybody else in here persuaded? Because I am persuaded that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor heights, nor depths, nor any other creature shall be able to separate from the love of God, which is in Christ Jesus, our Lord. Because I know for myself that I got a promise, so I can't forget the promise. You can't forget the promise. We can't forget the promise. Because God is good, and He's good all the time. He don't take no vacations. He don't ride on your promise. He's a God who will be with us to the end. So I want to leave you with this one more thought. Finally, my brothers, be strong in the Lord, in the power of His might. Put on the whole armor of God. It says, because we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against wickedness in high places. So we're going to have to fight at some point in our lives. But while you're fighting, I just tell you this one thing. Don't forget the promise. Don't forget the promise. Amen? Amen. I told you the church open. I told you I won't be long. The doors of the church are open. If you want to get closer to God, if you want to experience some of those promises, if you want to go into the battle equipped, ready for the fight, don't forget the promise. What you do. Don't forget the promise. You wouldn't forget to eat, will you? You won't forget to get some water if you're thirsty.
That's right.
So don't forget the promise.
Amen.
Though the church is still open. If you just have to